We've told you about the Democratic race for mayor, but the race that hasn't been getting as much attention is the one for the Republican nomination. Our Alisha Laventure is in Midtown Manhattan, where Republican frontrunner Joe Lhota will be watching the returns. Alisha.
That's right, Kevin. Activity is just starting to pick up a little bit here at Lhota headquarters. They're running a couple of last-minute audio and lighting checks before most of the excitement kicks off during the 7 o'clock hour. But there's still a good energy here in this room. Now, as Kevin mentioned, you may not know too much about Lhota because the Democratic ticket has been so hotly contested. But Lhota actually leads in this Republican primary, way ahead above the pack. Here's some video of the Brooklyn resident earlier today attempting to cast his vote at his local polling site, but he actually had some trouble doing so. They had to bring in a backup machine because the machine he initially used had some technical issues, but he managed to get the job done. Now, Lhota earned a lot of popularity during his stint as the head of the MTA last year, particularly after Superstorm Sandy, with his ability to get the subways back up and running as quickly as he did with all of the damage that Sandy left behind. And Lhota is actually no stranger to the mayor's office either. Back when Mayor Rudy Giuliani was in the mayor's office, Lhota worked very closely with him during his 1994-1998 terms, and in Giuliani's second term actually served as deputy mayor of operations. But tonight, Lhota's hoping to get one step closer to actually being the mayor himself of New York City, and we'll be here all night bringing you the latest updates as they come in. Kevin, back to you.
All right, thanks, Alisha. We'll talk to you in a little bit. Right now, we have Alisha Laventure, who is with the Joe Lhota headquarters in Midtown Manhattan. Alisha.
Kevin, Matt, at this point, the polls are closed, the votes are in, they're being counted, and people here at Lhota headquarters, they're feeling good, they're feeling happy. You know, they tell me that it's easy to understand why they're so excited about this, because for a long time now, Lhota has had a significant lead in the polls, 50% among likely Republican voters, well over the 40% needed to avoid a runoff election. But, you know, Lhota actually isn't the only person people are thinking about here tonight. One supporter I was talking to earlier was explaining to me how important it is for New Yorkers to pick the right person for mayor this time around. He was talking about past mayoral terms and how it's important to see the city grow and to prosper, and he personally wants to see improvements in math and science in the educational system, which is why he supports Lhota, because Lhota has said his platform focuses on expanding the number of charter schools in the city. At a minimum, he wants to double them, and with Lhota's track record as chairman of the MTA, bringing back subway service and stations that were cut before his term, and also expanding the fast track program, which brought $16 million to the city, they believe that he's the man for the job. So we're still waiting for him to make his appearance here, and as we continue to wait for those numbers to come in, we're going to be here all night bringing you the latest from Lhota headquarters. Kevin, Matt, back to you.
All right, thank you very much, Alisha.
We have our Alisha Laventure there at his headquarters, and she is speaking with a campaign advisor. Hey there, Alisha.
That's right, Matt. I'm joined now by Jake Mangus, senior advisor to the Lhota campaign. And Jake, I just want to ask you, the polls have been very favorable to Joe Lhota. And how do you guys feel going into this evening tonight?
We feel very confident. The polls have been in our favor throughout the entire campaign since the day Joe got into the race. And the polls are looking good. We've identified our voters. We're pulling out our voters. We've got hundreds of people out on the street, knocking on doors, pulling people in. And I think you'll start to see the numbers come in pretty quickly. And I think it's going to be a good night for Joe.
Now, in the event that there is a runoff, what plans do you guys have as far as campaigning for a runoff election?
Well, we're going to get through tonight. We'll see what the Democrats do, but I don't think we'll get in a runoff. So we're going to start campaigning tonight. But let's see what the Democrats do first.
Now, the Democrats have kind of taken center stage. They have a very colorful cast of candidates. They've gotten a lot of media attention. What do you guys plan to do to make sure to shift some of that focus over to the Republican side and maybe even for Joe Lhota?
Well, we're going to keep doing what we've been doing, which is Joe's going out to every community in this city, talking to every group of voters that we can get in front of. He's got a very aggressive schedule, doing multiple events every single day. We're going to keep focusing on our message, which is safe streets, improve our quality of life, better schools, and more jobs. We'll let the Democrats fight with themselves in the runoff, and we're just going to go directly right to the people.
Very good. Jake Mangus, senior advisor to Joe Lhota. Matt, Kevin, back to you.
All right. Alisha, just give us the feel there, I guess. How many people are there? What's it like? Are they eating? Are they drinking? What's going on there, Alisha?
There's a lot of excitement here, Matt and Kevin. You know, people are feeling pretty confident about Lhota's chances of being that Republican candidate for mayor of New York City. We've got people kind of just chatting and mingling. They're drinking, they're socializing. They're really feeling good. There's a good energy here in this room. As you guys mentioned, the latest numbers, 15% of precincts reporting Lhota does have the lead with 49%, and it is a close race with John Catsimatidis, but people are feeling really good about Lhota. There's actually a projector screen behind me that's showing the numbers as they come in and the tallies of the votes, and every time people here in the room see a Republican with the higher numbers or even the numbers for Lhota coming in, there's a huge round of applause and a cheer in the room. So people are really feeling good, and we're going to be here for the rest of the night, you know, as those numbers come in and give you the latest updates. But that's it for now here at Lhota headquarters in the Trion Ballroom at the New York Hilton Midtown Hotel. Kevin, Matt, back to you.
Sounds like a nice spot, Alicia, to be at for tonight. Thank you so much. Our Alisha Laventure is at Joe Lhota's headquarters, so let's start with Alisha. Hey there, Alisha.
Hey there, Matt. I heard just now that Joe Lhota is in the building. He's not yet, in the general party room, but he's got a lot of supporters here, about 200 people here supporting him, and I've actually got one of his volunteers with me now. This is Noelle Campbell. She's been working on his campaign. Noelle, I guess there are about a couple dozen volunteers here in the room right now. What's the mood among you guys?
Everybody's really excited. Everybody's excited to be here tonight. The momentum for Joe is great.
Yeah. And why did you personally decide to support Lhota's campaign?
I've known Joe personally and professionally for a long time. He's a neighbor. He lives 3 blocks away. He's a great guy. He's a real New Yorker. He's so excited about this, and I think he'd be the great next mayor of New York.
So the polls have been very favorable to him throughout, you know, pretty much. What do you believe his chances are of winning the Republican ticket?
I think absolutely, without a doubt, he's definitely winning tonight.
I like that confidence. Well, that's the latest here from Lhota headquarters. Guys, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
But right now, let's go to our Alisha Laventure, who is in Lhota headquarters. Alisha.
I'm sure it's exciting there, Alisha.
Absolutely. You know, there's such an energy here in this room. I'm having a hard time hearing you guys because every time there are some numbers projected on the screen showing Joe Lhota with that 52%, there's a huge round of applause here. People really excited about those numbers, feeling really, really good. We know Lhota is in the building, so we can expect him now to come down at any moment at this point, really, to greet his supporters. He's got more than 200 people here who have been clapping every time his face comes up on that screen with the numbers next to him. I was actually talking to a supporter who was saying, even though the polls have favored Lhota with 50% of support among likely Republican voters, the fact that Catsimatidis and Lhota were kind of closer as the votes were coming in doesn't surprise him. This supporter of Lhota's that I spoke with was saying that Catsimatidis is a great businessman. He actually owns the largest grocery chain in Manhattan. He owns a real estate company worth $700 to $800 million. So he knows what he's doing when it comes to, business. But the fact that Joe Lhota is pretty much more well-spoken is what he told me. He just has a better presence and appearance with the public, and he feels that coupled with his track record as the MTA chairman, able to bring back the subways quickly after Sandy, the damage that happened there, and also his stint with former Mayor Rudy Giuliani, the way they handled these September 11th attacks and his abilities to work with, mitigate between the president, the White House, and other, officials to ensure the safety of the city. That's basically what this supporter told me, said pretty much set him over the top as far as Lhota and the other candidates on the Republican ticket. But here, there's a lot of energy now that we've declared that winner, Joe Lhota, with 52% of the vote. The applause is coming in, and now they're testing that celebratory music, so that'll be coming in pretty soon. But that's the latest, here at Lhota headquarters. Back to you guys in the studio.
It has been exciting. This is someone who was doing well in the polls and is now declared the winner. Alisha, hello.
Absolutely. Lots of energy there, Matt and Kevin. A lot of people excited here at Lhota headquarters that he is the official Republican candidate in the race for mayor. I'm actually joined now by JC Polanco, who's the former president of the New York City Board of Elections. Now, JC, I want to know, talk to me about how the Hispanic community was able to help Lhota to get this win.
I have to tell you, in the Republican Party, the Hispanics are very much a minority. And this has been a primary election where we have the best candidate out there with the best experience, the most experience, and the person we believe will be the next mayor for the city of New York. And he's speaking to issues that impact all New Yorkers, regardless of background. And I think that's something that's going to bring Hispanics together. You know, Deputy Mayor Lhota is talking about the economy, education, safe streets, and those are the things that interest us. In order to win in November, Deputy Mayor Lhota has to get out there and make sure that the Hispanic community knows that he's on their side and he cares about those issues that we care about. And I think we'll have a lot of success in November.
When you see someone like Bill de Blasio, who has such strong ties in a Hispanic and a minority community, how tough do you think Joe Lhota has it to gain their vote and their support?
You can imagine it's very tough. The Hispanic population in New York City is naturally a Democratic constituency. So Deputy Mayor Lhota has to work very hard in crossing that party aisle and making Hispanics comfortable with the Republican label coming November. And I think he's going to do just that. I think when you compare resumes between Public Advocate de Blasio and Deputy Mayor Lhota, it's night and day. Here you have the former Deputy Mayor of New York City, former head of the MTA, former budget director for New York City, who's run hundreds of millions of dollars in budgets, and then you have Public Advocate de Blasio, whose entire office staff maybe $2 million. Hey, when I was at the Board of Elections, printing alone was $2 million. So good luck trying to sell that experience across the city as saying that now because of that experience, you're capable of running one of the most important cities in the world. I think not. And I don't think New Yorkers are going to think so either.
Thank you so much. J.C. Polanco, former president of the New York City Board of Elections, talking about how the Hispanic vote will come into major play for Joe Lhota with the mayoral election coming up later on in November. That's the latest here at Lhota headquarters. Matt, Kevin, back to you.